Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year and one of the craziest games of Total War Warhammer I think I've ever played. This was taken from the stream that I spoke about in the video from the other day as well. Random faction stream. So again, I got pretty lucky playing my main faction up against a faction that they are quite good against. So we'll take a look at Rocket Roo. BBB's Rocket Roo is my opponent for this map. 6 units of horsemen / horsemasters, not all that uncommon to see, in a little forward vanguard position. Some marauders in the front line. We've got some heavy hitters in behind there, the Mirror Guard, and some Chosen with sword and shields, just with their absolutely absurd stats. It's quite crazy the amount of things that they can beat that you would think on sort of paper value that they would lose to. But yeah, great unit. 2 units of Chaos Poison War Hounds, the Soul of Damnation, which I think is a pretty good pick against the Dark Elves actually. Hell Cannon's pretty common here, and I think if you go into Hell Cannon, the Soul of Damnation is always, as it spews one of its first volleys forward, is always kind of worth it. 40 ammo, or 39 now with that shot going out, but its accuracy and projectile tracking, we'll catch it in a little bit, is quite insane. Archaon's leading the force. He's taken the Slayer of Kings, Burning Head, Fireball. Looks like he's left the crown at home, but he has got Stand or Die as well. For my force, the Dark Elves, my Druchii boys, long-time lover of the Dark Elves. 4 units of Bleak Swords out the front. We have some Dread Spears in behind them, as well as the Sisters of Singing Doom. Had some leftover cash, and the Sisters of Singing Doom are about to cop it sweet by that Hell Cannon. 3 units of Scourge Runner Chariots out the front. We also have the Crows of Cain, a Feral Manticore in the air. There are a unit of Dark Riders sitting out here. And leading the force, we have a Dark Sorceress. She's coming in with Spirit Leech and Soul Blight. So just going to spam them out. And leading the force, Big Rakhath, one of my favorite non-meta legendary lords, to be honest. Obviously, you play a lot of Marathi, and it's always nice to bring something a little bit fun. So he's coming in with the Whip of Agony. This is an item that I'm kind of on the fence about. I just find that a lot of the times when people are bringing monsters in this game, it is bound to like their lord choice. So you just end up not being able to use it right where you want it to. You can use it on Cav, honestly, because the only, I guess, the only stipulation here is that it has to be a large unit. So there's other units you can use it on, but probably not always worth the cost. He's got the Whiplash for some stat boosting, as well as the Beast Lord's Gaze and the Beast Slaver. Now, Rakarth is an anti-large Dreadlord. He actually, an anti-large dragon, rather. He has pretty decent stats. He's quite nasty, particularly in the air. So he's also got the Beast Armor of Karankar. So when there's large units nearby, he gets a little bit more tanky and hard to kill. But as you can see, Soul of Damnation is wrecking this unit of Witch Elves, and that's pretty good target priority by my opponent. We're obviously going to send some volleys from the Scourge Runners. Going to press forward with my infantry, but again, nice use of the jabs. That's good value. Not a lot of armor, and they do have some physical resistance, I believe. But yeah, not a lot of armor, and obviously no shield block, given they are basically naked ladies. But yeah, the Scourge Runner is going to return fire, maybe take some unit models with them, but the Soul of Damnation here has activated its blood for its vigor. I think it did activate its boom one as well, but we're just trying to push these horsemen and horsemasters back with our silver shields, and trying to just dodge as best as possible. I mean, we're probably not looking good to get in any value on these Sisters of Singing Doom, but the Scourge Runners have managed to do some damage. I've concentrated them on this flank, trying to take down a unit sort of in full before I go on to the next one. And the Soul of Damnation now is changing targets. It's probably a good idea because there's probably not as much value given they've killed so many unit models. As we see the Crows of Cain there copying it sweet from the Soul of Damnation. Burning Head's going to go down to the front line, delete a unit of Bleak Swords, but Rakarth sees an opportunity here for a nice little breath attack. I think that Burning Head is going to come through these 2 units as well. It's probably going to do as much damage to those marauders, but a nice use of the breath attack is going to kill a number of the Mirror Guard. It's going to do its best to even that fight, but they'll still beat those Bleak Swords. So we need to get a little bit busy here with our Scourge Runner Chariots. They're still firing away into the horsemen over here, but this side of the battlefield's going just disastrously for us. Okay, these Bleak Swords have been jabbed off and Burning Headed off. These Marauders are still in the fight. We have to bring these spears in, but they're going to body block at least for the Horsemasters. And we do have, unfortunately, these Dark Riders just on a bit of a holiday over here. Rakarth has jumped down. He has terror routed off these Chaos Marauders. And we've also managed to rout the Bleak Swords now with the Scourge Runners. Getting busy in combat. We've spoken about them before on the channel. Be proactive with them. The Soul of Damnation I think is about to go down here with this volley from memory. No, it goes down in the not too distant future. But yeah, Rakarth's up in the sky and senses an opportunity to do a bit of a number here once he lands on Archaon. The Feral Manticore is rampaging. I do have the cold-blooded Beast Lord's Gaze up my sleeve, but I figure he's already rampaging on the target that I'd send him to. So yeah, Slayer of Kings has been popped. Likewise, Beast Slaver has been popped, giving Rakhath some extra anti-large, as the Hounds over here have managed to make it into these Scourge Runner Chariots. But Scourge Runner Chariots are actually pretty good at killing Hounds. They are infantry models. That rear charge will break them off. Over here we've got a Spirit Leech, rather a Soul Blight going down on all these Chaos Forces. Rakarth is getting pincushioned a little bit by the Marauder Horsemen. I would be pulling a couple of these units back, ideally, to try and get the full value from the Javelins. The mass blocking is good, but we've got some Spears coming back in. And as you can see, when Rakarth is in combat, he's actually surprisingly tanky. 55 melee defense on a Dragon is actually better. You usually pay a bit of a premium in terms of your melee defense stats when you take monstrous mounts, but Scourge Runners are still going pretty strong. We've still got all the unit models, but these Hounds have managed to come in and they'll just slow them down more than anything. Crows of Cain have come back in. Unfortunately, these Dark Riders are still just wondering what they want to do with their life, but we see a Burning Head here. We'll get a nice little dodge. Unit of Dread Spears may be able to come back in and just reinforce the fight here, but these Dread Spears getting good value for money on the Horsemasters. Rakarth dodging a bit of a fireball here. We've got Archaon really, really low. The Soul of Damnation has been destroyed, and my Chariots are healthy. So the infantry here is not a big deal. It's the skirmish cab, because unfortunately we aren't super mobile. We do just lose a couple of our Scourge Runners. This Manticore is very low. Once again, Rakarth is going to come in and try and whiplash himself to do some extra damage, and as well as the Beast Slaver. So his stats right now are looking pretty tasty. 910 armor-piercing, anti-large damage. He's going to potentially be able to land a lot of hits. But the issue at the moment is he's lacking support. And Dragons, once they land, if they get surrounded by this, they can have all the stats they want, but they take hits. Fortunately, the Dark Riders have finally decided to come play. Manticore is still circling around, just trying to, where I can, I guess, find a value target. I want to get rid of these Mirror Guard, but I am going to try and swoop down here and try and finish off Archaon. Rakarth is really low, 1600 hit points, and I figure this might be my last chance to try and swing it back, because I am heavily outnumbered. If you see on the, well, I mean, the balance bar doesn't think it's so bad, but I mean, look at all these black flags. Rakarth is wavering. Luckily, Archaon is also wavering, and the Feral Manticore may be able to get on him and push him off, and he does rout. And at this point, I'll pop it on a slow play. I feel a bit bad, and I will go over this and address it in the chat, because at this point in the game, I threw in a GG in the chat. I figured I was about a hair's breadth away from army losses. It was starting to turn against me. Rakarth, I wasn't sure was going to come back. 160 HP, and there's plenty of jabs on the ground. My only real saving grace here is, well, we've got some Scourge Runners coming back, so they might put some more hurt and finish off Archaon. I do have some rallying infantry, and my caster, I believe, is somewhere. She's got Winds of Magic, even though she is rallying. So, yeah, my apologies to Rocket Roo if I wasn't trying to, obviously, BM it or anything. But Archaon is going to be chased off, and Rakarth is going to rally momentarily. I have some rallying infantry. I have the ability with the Scourge Runner Chariots to maybe do some cycle charging, and there are still 3 unit models here despite the low health. I also, as I said, have a fair bit of Winds of Magic left. I think at this point of the battle I had something like 12 or 13 Winds of Magic, and Soul Blight and Spirit Leech aren't the most winds intensive force. But again, at this stage, the balance of power is against me. Rakarth, at this point, I'm figured this is the second time he's broken. He's basically going to turn around and basically rout again. Unfortunately, the Feral Manticore here is struggling just to put the last hit on Archaon. But the Dark Riders are coming back in. We may be able to finish off these Hounds with the Dread Spears and the Bleak Swords over here. We've got some tattered Bleak Swords here. My Sorceress once again has rallied. I see Rakhath here basically getting javelined. I put the Beast Lord's Gaze to try and keep him in the fight, and I think I've just got to use this breath attack. So it's obviously not the ideal target. I'd love to use it on the Chosen, but I just needed to use it. So they managed to miss a majority of their javelins, and now terror routes. Look at how tattered everything is, and I think, well, my way back in now is basically just a mass rout on behalf of the Chaos Forces. So I mean, Beast Lord's Gaze is probably keeping him in the fight here. He's down to 10 leadership, back up to 26 with the leadership bonus from charging. We get a nice Spirit Leech on those Chosen, which is going to finish them off, and a few nice attack animations, and no hits landed. Still 127 HP. Dread Spears and Bleak Swords, or Dread Spears on their way back. Bleak Swords fight into the last here against, you know, the early release Chaos Dwarves. Can't wait for Chaos Dwarves to be properly released. Still got some Mirror Guard here who are immune to Psychology, so they're not going to worry too much about Rakarth's Terror, but they are very, very low. And we still have the Dark Rider, so we've got some ability to do some cycle charging here. Soul Blight will go down to get the armor down on these Mirror Guard, which may allow the Dread Spears and even the Sorceress herself to do some damage. And the Dark Riders now with the final charge may be able to break down the Mirror Guard, and Rakhath with all 127 HP is going to pretty much carry the day. And like I said, I couldn't believe this game didn't end when I slowed it down before, because balance of power was turning against me. I felt like my entire army was either wavering or routing. I didn't think Rakhath was going to come back at all, but I guess the saving grace for me was that Archaon was routing and basically dead, and the Soul of Damnation was offline. So I don't know if the ammo was being factored into the balance of power. That's probably the only thing that kept me in. Beast Lord's Gaze, I was about half a second away from cutting in favor of something else. I think I had an extra unit. I think these were just a regular unit of Witch Elves, and then I had another unit of Spears, but I decided to keep ramp obviously the Cold-Blooded. It's a Cold-Blooded effect with also a leadership effect, just because I had the Manticore. And without that, I think Rakhath probably breaks for a third time, shatters, and I lose this game. So crazy, crazy game. Rakhath getting 2.6. I think he's only, with the kit I brought him, I think he's 2.9 or something, but he's been pretty clutch in the end. Used his breath attacks, managed to work the Mirror Guard down with them. Manticore's got exactly its cost back, but was big because it allowed me to chase off Archaon and cause some terror outs. Crows of Cain really struggled. Death Sorceress was pretty big. We got some good Spirit Leeches in, and that Soul Blight in the end, potentially could have been pretty decent. Because, I mean, Rakarth was only a couple of hits away from the Mirror Guard from potentially routing again, and then that would have been army losses because he would have shattered. Dread Spears actually doing quite well because they managed to get a fair few hits in on the Marauder Horse Cav, and even the Bleak Swords kind of doing okay between the four of them. And these two struggling a bit, but yeah, you take that 700 damage value on a Bleak Sword. Sisters of Singing Doom had an absolute shocker, and that's not to good target priority by Rocket Rook, 1400 on the Soul of Damnation. And then the Scourge Runners, as always, pretty much, well, not a hard carry, but they're just such a great unit, probably the best unit on the roster. And the tactical reserves of the Dark Riders probably played into my favour in the end, because they were pretty decent in the end of the game there. Archaon getting some good value, Marauders doing okay, Mirror Guard doing okay, Chosen being a bit of a pain in the ass. I actually just thought they were regular Chaos Warriors when I was playing the game live. And then the Horsemen being a bit of a pain in the ass to Rakarth. So yeah, great game. Like I said, I'm sorry I threw the GG in chat. I legitimately thought this game was over. But yeah, it went right down to the wire, and fun to play with an off-meta Lord. I think this is probably Rakarth's one of his best matchups. He's good in a couple of matchups. I actually also don't mind him against the Beastman, but I usually just use him on the Manticore against the Beastman. Beastman, Norska, Lizardman, Warriors of Chaos, I've had decent success with him. So yeah, take him for a whirl. He's pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for checking out the battle. It was an absolute bumper game. Thanks to Rocket Roo, and we'll see you more. We'll see you soon for some more Total War replays. Till then, take care.